Hi, this is Ilon Huang, and welcome to my talk with Alf Lien, Project Coordinator and International Developing Consultant at the Institute for Information Industry, short III. I interviewed Alf for my German language program Wirtschaftsmagazin, business magazine, but I don't want to just share it with our German-speaking listeners, but also publish the original English version, so that perhaps also partners and friends of Alf and III could have a listen. The German version will then be published later. But now let's get on with my talk with Alf Lien. Alf Lien, thank you for your time. And could you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Alf Lien, and I'm a project coordinator and international development consultant at III's Institute for Information Industry, which is known as III for short. And I help design and deliver cross-border technical cooperation programs.
And can you introduce the Institute for Information Industry? I read that it is an NGO, a non-governmental organization.
Yes.
But under the supervision of the Ministry of Digital Affairs.
That's right. First, to add on to my introduction is I've been at III for over 15 years, and I've been helping to work across policy, industry services, and international partnerships. So my days are kind of a mix of stakeholder facilitation, document drafting, and a lot of logistics. So for my personal, outside of work, I'm actually a daily walker. I try to do 10,000 steps a day. I'm still doing that every day. And swimming, as well as I'm trying to learn juggling now.
Okay.
Yeah. So not only juggling.
Not in juggling work.
No. I'm actually trying to juggle like bean bags now too. So it helps keep me disciplined and I think curious.
Okay.
Yeah. So back to your question, which is III is a non-governmental organization. That's what NGO stands for, and we were established in 1979. So wow, that's some time. Yeah, that was when the first Star Wars came out. So a long time. So we're under the supervision of the Ministry of Digital Affairs. But what this means is we actually have about, I would say, 60% of our projects are funded by the government. And the other 40%, which is what my team is in charge of, is basically non-governmental funded projects. So that's kind of our area. And our job is to raise Taiwan's global competitiveness by enabling digital transformation. So again, that sounds like a mouthful, but basically you can think of it as we have a government think tank, or we act as one, or we help the government to advise them on, I guess, ICT, which is Information Communication Technologies policy. So that's one of our divisions. And then we also act as an R&D bridge. So we have about 80% of our staff are doing R&D in different fields like IoT, AI, smart automotive as well, and things of that sort. So when we come up with patents or business ideas, rather than have us to commercialize them, we either sell the patents or transfer the patents to commercial entities, or we spin it off into companies. So that's kind of our model.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess the other part I wanted to mention is for the policy think tank, we advise on ICT policy. So it's not every policy, right? So there's things that are related to geopolitical aspects and whatnot. We can do some aspects, but we focus on the ICT part. And then we help to shape the national digital strategies. And we also do, like I mentioned, R&D and industry services. So we actually do our own R&D. And then finally, we also do training of talent and ecosystem. So one of our divisions does training of professionals, hundreds of thousands over the decades that we've done so far. And we also incubate ventures, as in one of our teams runs an accelerator. So it's basically startups that are hoping to get to the next level. We help them to coach them on how to do that. And then we support legal and IP standards work. So that's kind of III in a nutshell.
Okay, couple questions I would like to add on. So if you help to train people, are these usually very young, they just finished college or something like that?
Oh, it doesn't have to be. So it's all, I guess, levels. So basically, yeah, there's definitely ones which are the college fresh grads, but we also, let's say if you're in the workforce for some time, you just want to, I guess, get certifications. For example, we work with like Cisco and other large organizations, Microsoft as well, to help them get certified in these different specialties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you said around 60% of your projects are governmental funded, and like your team, you get your funding from somewhere else. Like, where do you get your funding? Do you then have to go out and get money, basically?
Yeah, so basically that's kind of the interesting part of our team, because one, we tend to recruit people with international language ability as well as backgrounds. So our team is helping either Taiwan companies to expand to international markets, and sometimes vice versa, as in sometimes if there are certain needs that Taiwan solutions do not cover, we'll help to source international solutions back to Taiwan. And that's how we make our additional revenue.
Yeah, you said you're going into, basically, you try to connect Taiwanese companies with the world, basically.
Yes.
And what regions do you focus on?
Okay, so when I first joined III, I was focused on the Middle East region. So this is actually Middle East and Africa. And the interesting part of that is we actually had a field office there as well.
Okay.
So it was based in Kuwait, and we had a III staff that was based there on a rotating basis. So we had at least 2 project managers that were based in Kuwait. And they would find and work with the local institutes, because we were basically partnering with the Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research. So it's a little bit similar to EBRD, right? So again, they were from the government side. The government had research or they had needs. They would first find KISR, and then KISR, if they weren't able to meet these needs, they would reach out to III and say, do you guys have the technology or in-house, or can you find solution providers for this? So one of the interesting projects that we did that I was personally involved in was a setup of a reverse engineering unit. So it's basically like a prototyping unit.
Okay.
So in Kuwait, they have Kuwait University and other universities as well, which also have, I guess, these fast prototyping units, but they didn't have the expertise. So what we needed to do for this project was we first assessed, what their scientists or practitioners were, what their level was in terms of their experience, and then we found that in order to bridge the gap, we actually hired consultants that worked with III that are already in the industry. So one of them came out of Baochen, which is a shoe manufacturer in Taichung.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so basically they would do OEM for brands like Nike or maybe Reebok and whatnot. So they had experience working with these with machines, right? So this is something which was exactly what Kuwait was looking for as well. So basically, they had a team that went over to Kuwait, and they were based there for almost 2.5 years. So it was a build, operate, and transfer project. And then during the 2.5 years, they were actually training the local staff in Kuwait on how to use this machinery and how to make prototypes. And then it's not just shoes. Yeah, so for example, in KISR, they also had their own research, and they needed to make prototypes of some of these things, but they weren't able to because they didn't have the know-how. So when they approached Kuwait University, they weren't able to fulfill the needs to make the prototype. And then with this very qualified team, they were able to do probably like 20 or 30 prototypes per quarter. Yeah, so it really makes a huge difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Middle East is one of your regions. Is this also your current region?
Yes, so we're still maintaining it, but because of the current war with Iran and the US, that area has kind of quieted down for a bit, because they want to make sure that they, first keep the peace.
Yeah.
But the other region that we're in charge of, and I've been working with for about 8 years, is Europe. So we work with the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development primarily.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
Sure.
But first, what are the biggest challenges in your work?
I think challenges include aspects such as when we choose Taiwan solution providers to expand to the overseas market, we actually get approached by quite a few companies, but we also have to help make sure that they're ready to expand to the international markets. So very, very simple criteria such as, do they have an English website? Do they have English marketing materials and things of that sort? If they don't have that as a basis, it's really difficult for us to help them. Yeah. So we first advise you should at least get your materials up to an international sharing standard. Yeah.
So they can also ask, okay, could you give us some advice how we should proceed before we can actually?
Yes. So we also help in that aspect as well, because the other part is we try to work with, I guess, cutting edge Taiwan solution providers. So if they're technology is quite good. It's just that they're lacking the marketing know-how. We can help them as well. And then when they have their marketing staff work with us, we kind of advise them how to meet the marketing needs for the international audience.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're talking about the biggest challenges in your work, and what's the most interesting or fun part?
Yeah. So as you can imagine, we're always, I guess, meeting new Taiwan solution providers as well as meeting new clients. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, as in both the demand side as well as the supply side we're kind of in charge of. So I can elaborate a little bit more about our cooperation with EBRD. Basically, it's a three-pronged, I guess, model, which is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan has a technology cooperation fund, and they provide funding to EBRD. Then EBRD will do projects with different entities, including III. And oftentimes that allows us to introduce Taiwan's solution providers to them.
One of your projects with the European Bank of Development brought like some Ukraine companies to Taiwan.
Yes.
We will talk about that in a bit, but what I want to ask you first is, because we used to work together like a long time ago.
Yes.
And I think at that time, mostly our partners and customers were from Taiwan or the US.
Right.
And but now with III, your partners come from many different regions. You mentioned Middle East, you mentioned Europe,
yes.
Ukraine
Africa.
and stuff, Africa.
Yes.
And have you gotten new insights or like ideas or just some new knowledge from working with like all these different regions and cultures also?
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of it comes down to making personal connections with these partners, because it's really difficult unless you're based there to develop new business. So we've been fortunate to find some very good partners in the Middle East or in Europe and other regions where they'll come back to us if they have new business needs and requirements. Otherwise, we'd have to have staff that's based there all the time to try to do the business development. So I think part of where I personally get some value as well as satisfaction is I just maintain a network of different business partners and friends that we keep in contact with. Yeah, and oftentimes, as you can imagine, it's not just talking about business, because otherwise everyone would fall asleep, right? So we actually also need to get to know each other, as well as maybe
you can use your new skills in
juggling. Sure. I'll just juggle for them in the con call or something. Video con call. But no, I think it's just sharing of when they come to Taiwan, we actually have even a closer connection because you get a chance to break bread and things of that sort. But I think you and I, since we've been in the business for so long, it comes down to relationships. Right. So if they trust you, then they'll know that you're able to source the qualified solutions for them. Right. And vice versa, we also know that the potential clients they find for us are pre-qualified as well as serious, because otherwise it would be wasting people's time.
And differences in culture, like for example, when you talk to American or US companies or Ukraine companies or companies or organizations from Middle East, did you have to learn new approaches or change your approach, how to talk to these different regions?
Absolutely. I think prior to doing these projects, we might all have preconceptions about these different countries. So taking Ukraine as an example, we just knew from the news that they've been in this war with Russia for some time. But prior to doing this EBRD project, we didn't realize their level of digital maturity that they're at, which is actually pretty high. So, for example, for their e-government services, the Ukraine government has been able to have an e-passport onto their mobile phones and their smartphones, which again is used mostly for within Ukraine or Europe kind of travel. But they also have the physical passport. But all this kind of information, including their driver's license and things of that sort, it can all be applied and renewed, through this app, this government app. So this is already, more advanced than what we have in Taiwan. And their connectivity is actually very high as well. So if it wasn't for the war, they actually have a pretty decent level of digital maturity.
Yeah, talking about Ukraine and the war. So first, how did you get started with this project?
Sure. So this was very fortuitous because basically how we work with the EBRD is they may have these so-called technical study tours. And what this does is, because EBRD is a bank, they actually are similar to like World Bank. So in order for them to invest and loan money for projects, it has to fit certain criteria as well. So one is they have a mandate of it should be related to green technology, as well as, I guess, helping to reduce the carbon footprint. That's one of the very important tenets of their loans. Another one is it should be for countries or companies that are helping to promote inclusiveness in terms of the employees. So that's another pretty positive aspect. And then they also work on a lot of cities. So these cities may need funding for large infrastructure projects like, I don't know, bridges and things of that sort. So this all has ICT components as well in it. So that's kind of how III gets involved. So how the Ukraine project came along is they already had an ongoing human capacity, building project. And they found that the Ukraine companies that they've been interacting with, some of them already have projects with them, as in there's financing through EBRD. And with that, then they're qualified for this HCII grant. So because EBRD also wants to help promote the reconstruction of Ukraine. So basically what this means is if there is a technology or some sort of solution that the Ukraine company wishes to implement, they just need to invest 50% of that cost for the pilot study. The other 50% is a grant which will be covered by EBRD. So in total, it's 500,000 euros per investment. So with these two added together, you can have up to 1 million euros for a pilot project, which is pretty decent.
And was this the first time that you are involved with a war-torn region?
Yes, it was. So that actually also has its considerations as well as limitations sometimes as well.
For example, did you have to pay attention to other aspects, like before, you get in touch or you connect different companies and stuff, and you pay attention to some aspects on technical stuff or business stuff. And here with like all these companies that come from war-torn region, did you have to pay attention to other aspects?
Yes, absolutely. So remember, this is both the supply side as well as the demand side. So when we first started the project, it started with an online survey that we provided to EBRD to give to their potential Ukraine companies. Because they're in a war, they're also busy. They have higher priorities, right?
Yeah.
So it actually took quite a bit to select these companies and have them willing to fill out the survey, and then we could then do online interviews with each of them before they came. So I think this is something that we really understood better after starting the project, as well as we understood their priorities. Of course, you want to survive first, right? Yeah. These are huge enterprises within Ukraine. A lot of them are state-owned enterprises. So like their oil and gas, or perhaps their poultry farm, or maybe their supermarket chains. So these are big companies. So of course we understood that they have higher priorities for other things as well. Yeah. But what happened was we were very lucky finally to get the 9 companies that were selected and responded to our online survey, and we did online interviews with each of them extensively before they came. And in that way we can understand their needs and then talk to the Taiwan side. So the Taiwan side, there actually is, other than what I just described as in should they be internationally market ready, the other really important aspect is, will they be able to serve the Ukraine market? And of course, there are some companies where they're very protective of their employees, and they said, it'd be difficult for us to have a staff to be sent on site to do something there because, we don't want to risk that. Yeah. So that's something else that we had to put in mind.
When these companies from Ukraine came to Taiwan, I know that you not just had business meetings, but you showed them around a little bit, and you had dinner and stuff. When you talked to them, did you learn for yourself like some stuff about how the daily life is in the war region?
Yes, absolutely. I think part of where maybe some of us has a misconception is it depends on how close they are to the front lines, right? So some of the companies, they had the luxury of not being that close, so their lives were actually fairly normal, right? So, they're sharing with me that their kids would still be going on sort of summer camp or taking field trips to other countries and things of that sort. So in that respect, it seemed, kind of nice that they weren't 24/7 having to face, drone attacks and things of that sort. But the other flip side of that is after they returned, they also let us know that Lviv, where many of them came from, they actually were attacked recently by Russia with a pretty massive drone attack. Yeah. So it's not like they can just completely not disregard the war, but it seemed like they had some sense of normalcy for most of the time, that they were able to still lead their normal life.
And getting back a little bit to regular work for III, your work involves a lot of meetings, travel, etc.
Yeah.
How did COVID affect your work?
Oh, tremendously. So at that time, as you can remember, two phases. So one, this is before everyone had to be sheltered at home, right? Even in that part where we're still in the offices, we weren't able to do any business trips, right? So how you maintain the relationships, with your partners abroad is also due to the previous groundwork that we did. So as I mentioned, we'd still keep in touch with our, international partners, but everyone, just said hi to each other. There wasn't that much business going on. Yeah, but then after that was, it became a bit better, and then people were able to travel. It was much easier for us to pick up again.
What do you think? How long did it take before it became normal again? Like, because the whole process became normal again?
I think Taiwan was fortunate because we handled it pretty well as an island nation. And then, if I remember correctly, maybe like 2020 is when we actually had like the shelter in place and things like that. But that was actually lifted it didn't take that long. Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, and travel was reinstated, everything went back to normal.
I think you said that you've been with III for more than 15 years now. What changes have you seen? Like, what kind of industries do you focus in, or also how your daily work has changed, for example, through AI? That's
a good question. So yes, I think with every few years, there's always some sort of hot topic, especially in the IT field. So before, everything was, cloud-based, or another one is everything should be digitized. But this seems to be the day and age of AI is almost inserted in every marketing material. Right? So you have to learn how to diagnose if it really is utilizing AI or it's just the marketing fluff. So that's kind of how we approach it, as in we don't want to overpromise to our international partners that everything can be just infused with AI and it's going to solve all their life's problems. Because I saw this one crazy commercial on TV the other day, which is for a cram school, Hoshiban. This is just a regular course, right? And they kept saying that, well, if you go to this cram school, it's like an AI infused, school. It's like you have regular teachers. Where's the AI part coming in? So it seemed to be more marketing fluff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the way that III has kind of adapted is we try to keep up with the latest trends.
And your personal work, your daily work, has that changed over the years?
Absolutely. So like you said, with the use of AI tools, it actually has helped quite a bit. So we know that you don't want to rely 100% on it because it can hallucinate, but there are ways to prompt it or adjust it that it can give you still useful information.
Okay. Yeah. And at the end, do you have any stories or anecdotes or projects which are memorable to you?
Many. So I think I can maybe elucidate a little bit more about this EBRD Ukraine project, right? So I think what made it especially memorable as well as challenging for everybody is because they're coming from a war-torn situation. So what happened was, one, the logistics for the transport is there were no flights flying from Ukraine, right? It's too dangerous. So all the delegates had to first find their way to Warsaw in Poland, which is the nearest airport that was still flying international flights. And oftentimes this would be like 14, 15-hour train rides, or they found other forms of transportation to get there. So that's not easy. Right? So once they got to Poland, they actually had to take a flight from there to Taiwan, right? So that's another,
14,
15 hours. So
most even longer if you
have to transfer. That's correct. So I think what happened was, for these 9 companies that came, one, they had an amazing amount of, logistical challenges just to get here. And then most delegates that we've done over 10 technical study groups, most of them, when they come from Europe, the first thing they'll say is, hey, thank you for greeting me or picking me up, but I'm super tired. I want to just crash. Otherwise, I won't be able to be, alert for attending classes tomorrow. Totally understand. This group from Ukraine, they were the most energetic as well as, enthusiastic group I've ever seen, which is even when they're doing the different transport, we already had like a WhatsApp group set up. So they'd say, hey, I'm at this part. If you guys need a ride or something like that, just feel free and we can go together. Or we already got to this other station. If you'd like to, we can convene together over there. So one, they're very helpful toward each other. which are all from different companies. They didn't know each other before we did this study tour. So even before they came, a lot of them had already met during this journey. And when they came to Taiwan, they were just very happy and energetic, and we could really feel that energy. So all of them did not say, I'm super tired, I want to go rest. They joined the dinner at the hotel. They met with the EBRD, I guess, PMs as well, and it extended the study tour to an additional day, actually, which is really good. So the next day that they came, they were very punctual in terms of all, convening at the hotel lobby and things of that sort. Because oftentimes, again, we know they're traveling for long distances. We have to set up, like with the hotel, like a morning call. Yeah. Otherwise, people will not be able to wake up and things of that sort. And we don't want to personally have to call them and bug them, say, oh, sorry, you should be meeting with us so we can start our day. So all this kind of stuff comes with experience. And then they were very punctual, very enthusiastic. We went, if you can imagine, this is a 4-day program where it had visits to III's headquarters, where we had Taiwan solution providers to do presentations, and then also mixed with site visits to different companies as well as government agencies. And in total, we were able to say that we arranged for over 20 visits or presentations, which is a lot in 4 days. So if you kind of do the math, it's like 5 a day, right? I don't normally do 5 a day meetings on a typical day, but we just do this, and in the middle, we also have the lunches, we have the dinners, and it's very carefully planned because our team is experienced. So one, we want to make sure that they're not exhausted. The other part is we have a charter bus that takes them through these different places. So transportation is all taken care of. And then I think how we design the program is, it's almost like directing a good movie, as in you actually do need to have a pacing for the program as well. You don't want to have all your nuggets on the first day and then the rest of it is really boring. So we designed this very well. Okay. And then there was a field trip over to Hsinchu as well. And then we also went to Taoyuan because we went to visit a very innovative solution called Yes Health. And they do these vertical farms. So within all self-contained, there's no need for soil, and it's a very amazing solution. I'm going to have dinner with one of the friends there tonight as well. So it's just kind of like that. So I think the way that I wanted to describe it is these study tours are very demanding for the delegates, but if they come in with the right attitude, and we try to make it as friction-free as possible. Our team is also very dedicated, so we actually are working really long hours on those days as well. But after we finish it, it's a very gratifying experience.
Great. Thanks a lot for the very interesting and insightful interview. I wish you all the best for the next 15 years here at III.
Thank you. At least, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ilon.